Far from Earth, deep in the center of the galaxy, the Galactic Council gathered. They were the rulers of 1,000 worlds, beings of great power and knowledge. For centuries, they had watched young species grow and fall. Most were peaceful. Some were violent. But none had ever made them feel what Earth did: fear. It started with a signal. A simple radio wave, weak and broken, floating through space. It was music, strange and beautiful. Then came the pictures: explosions, machines, fire raining from the sky. And then, silence. Earth had stopped sending messages. The Council wondered why. Was it a trick? A warning? Or had something gone wrong? Their top observers studied Earth from a distance. The planet was full of energy and change. Cities rose like mountains. Machines moved without riders. Skies were filled with aircraft. But what made the Council worry most wasn't the technology. It was the people. Humans were everywhere. In the cold, in the heat, in storms and in deserts. They ran, they fought, they laughed, they cried. They kept moving no matter what. They had built weapons, yes, some powerful enough to burn continents. But the Council soon realized something strange. The weapons didn't frighten them as much as the ones holding them. A decision was made. A small stealth ship was sent to orbit Earth. Invisible to human eyes, it studied every detail. It watched soldiers train in snow, fire, and poison. It saw doctors run toward sickness while others ran away. It saw children learning about stars and ancient wars. And it saw something worse, or maybe greater. The aliens saw humans fight each other, not just with guns but with minds, politics, business, power. And yet, in disaster, they united. When floods came, strangers saved strangers. When fires burned, they ran into danger to help. The Council's data showed that even in chaos, humans could rise higher. "They are unstable," one council member said. "They will destroy themselves." "Perhaps," another replied. "But if they don't, they will destroy us." Still, many didn't believe. "They are soft, they cry, they break, they have fear," one said. "Yes," another answered, "but they keep going. That is what makes them dangerous." A final vote was held. Should Earth be contacted, destroyed, or left alone? The Council chose a secret plan: capture one human and study them. Learn what makes them so different. A ship was sent. A man was taken. But that part of the story would come later. For now the Watchers kept looking. One by one they noticed more signs. A woman with no legs climbed mountains with metal limbs. A man with no voice led others with his hands. Old people taught young ones how to survive. Children dreamed of stars, even when they had nothing else. "They adapt," a scientist said, "faster than any species we've seen." Back in the council chambers, the oldest member stood slowly. His skin was gray and cold, his eyes full of memory. He looked around the room and spoke quietly. "We feared their weapons. But that was a mistake. Their real power is something deeper." Silence filled the room. Outside, the stars blinked. On Earth, a child looked up at the sky, wondering if something was out there. Watching, waiting, and far above, hidden in shadow, an alien scout whispered a final message into the void. "They do not fear the weapons, they are the weapons." The message ended, and the Council finally understood. The true threat was not in Earth's machines, but in the human spirit itself. The room was cold. The lights were white and sharp, shining down on the single figure sitting in the center. He was human, male, about 30 years old, muscles tight, eyes calm. He had no armor, no weapons, just a simple suit given by his captors. But somehow he made the entire alien research station feel like a battlefield. The scientists stood behind thick glass. Some had claws, others had tentacles, but all had fear in their eyes. They had captured a human, not a soldier, not a leader, just a man walking alone in the mountains of Earth. They thought he would be easy to break. They were wrong. At first, they tried kindness, soft words in his language, food, questions. He said nothing, just looked at them, his eyes full of something they couldn't name. Then they tried fear, darkness, loud noises, isolation. Still, the human remained silent. He stared through them as if he already knew the end of this game. The council sent their best mind reader, a creature called Seldrak. It had pulled secrets from monsters, spies, even other humans during the First Contact Wars. But when it entered the human's mind, something strange happened. It saw silence, not emptiness, not weakness, just walls. Thick, black walls built with will and pain. Seldrak stumbled back, shaking. He is not like the others, it said. His mind is awake. Days passed, then weeks. The scientists tried everything: heat, cold, pressure. They locked him in zero gravity for days. They turned off the air for short moments. His heart rate never changed. His breathing stayed steady. He didn't scream. He didn't beg. He didn't even sleep much. He was waiting. What is he waiting for? One researcher asked. Maybe rescue? Another guessed. No, a third said, watching the human's steady eyes. He's waiting for us to make a mistake. Then something happened. A guard entered the room. The guard was new, young, nervous. He stepped too close, too fast, and the human moved. 1 second, he was sitting. The next, he had the guard's weapon in hand. The cameras turned black for a moment. When the backup system turned on, the human was standing still again. The guard was unharmed but frozen in fear. The weapon lay on the floor, crushed like paper. The council received the report. He let the guard live, someone said. No, another answered, voice cold. He chose not to kill. There is a difference. A new plan was made. Bring in others. Show him pain. Show him fear. Maybe then he would speak. They brought in other captured humans. They were actors, holograms, not real. But the human looked at them with sharp eyes and whispered, "You don't understand us at all." It was the first thing he had said in days. The scientist leaned in, excited. Then tell us, one asked. What are you? The human slowly stood up, eyes glowing with something ancient. Not magic, not power. Something older. Purpose. He walked to the glass and looked straight into the camera. We are the storm. You feared, he said. You watched our weapons, but the weapon is not the metal, it's the mind. It's the choice. You wanted to break me, but we were made to survive. The room fell silent. You think war is about machines, the human said. But war is memory, pain, fire inside the bones. The lights flickered. He smiled, not with joy, but with warning. You took one of us. Now you've opened the door. That was when the alarms began. Across the station, systems failed. Lights went out, walls locked. The scientists ran in panic. The council screamed orders through the speakers, but no one listened. Something had arrived. Not a fleet, not a bomb. Just a signal, a human signal, simple, clear, cold. We're coming. The human sat back down and closed his eyes as if nothing had happened, as if he already knew the ending. The guards didn't dare enter. The cameras kept recording. Somewhere, far away, Earth was silent. But the silence was not peace. It was the sound of something waking up, something the galaxy wasn't ready for. And as the council watched the video again and again, one truth became clear. They didn't capture a human. They had trapped a weapon with a heartbeat. It started with a whisper. A small patrol ship went silent near Earth's outer orbit. The council thought it was a signal glitch, nothing serious. But then a second ship disappeared, then a third. No warnings, no messages, just silence. The council grew worried. They sent a scout team to investigate. Experienced soldiers, smart minds, strong tech. They were ready for anything, except what they found. Floating in space was a battlefield. but without a battle. Wreckage drifted silently. Council ships were torn open like paper, engines frozen, weapons melted. There were no signs of explosions, no burn marks, no energy trails, just pieces of metal and silence. But the strangest part? No bodies. Not a single alien corpse floated in the wreckage. The soldiers had vanished. Suits were still sealed. Helmets still shut. But they were empty, like something had removed the people inside without breaking the shell. The scout team sent a report. Then they turned to leave. Only one scout made it back. He returned shaking, eyes wide, whispering the same word over and over. Shadows. 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 He died 3 hours later. His body was fine, no wounds, but his mind was broken. The council held an emergency meeting. "What did this?" someone asked. "They have new weapons," said one. "No," another replied. "This isn't technology. This is something else." The scientists watched the scouts' last recording. Static filled most of the video, but near the end a shape appeared. Not a ship, not a drone. A figure. Humanoid, moving through space without a suit, fast, silent, controlled. "Impossible," a council officer said. "No life form can survive open space like that." But there it was. And then came the message. Not through radio or signal, but carved into the metal of a drifting ship in human language. "You feared our weapons. You forgot the hands that built them." The council fell into panic. They began scanning all systems near Earth. They found nothing. No fleets, no large structures. Just silence. But their satellites picked up something even stranger. Movement on the moon. Small, organized, and human. "How did they get there?" one asked. "They've always been there," said another. "We just didn't see it." Meanwhile, on Earth, humans continued life as normal, or so it seemed. In truth, secret human groups had begun to move. Old programs long buried were reactivated. Signals sent in deep code. Hidden ships launched from beneath the oceans. They made no sound. They left no trail. But they were there. And they were hunting. The council tried to send peace messages. No reply. They sent a warning. Still silence. So they sent warships. The best in the galaxy. Fast, armed, protected. None returned. Reports came in like a nightmare. Ships sliced in half. Crews frozen mid-step. One ship drifted back with a single word burned into the hull. "Observe." The council finally understood. They were not dealing with a normal enemy, not a wild species, not a broken race, but something trained, quiet, patient, human. Inside a hidden lab, the captured human from before sat calmly. He had watched the chaos begin. He smiled once. A scientist asked, "What are they doing?" The human looked up, voice low. "They are not attacking. They are showing you." "Showing us what?" "What it means," the human said. "To fight beings who build weapons not to win, but to survive." The lights flickered. The lab shook slightly. Somewhere outside, an alarm screamed. "They've arrived," the scientist whispered. "No," the human replied. "You're just now noticing them." Outside the station, new ships appeared, not like council ships. They were older, simpler, but they moved with purpose. Human ships, black and silent. They circled the station like wolves, but they didn't fire. Not yet. The message was clear. Watch, learn, understand. This was not the beginning of a war. It was a warning, because the humans weren't rushing to attack. They were waiting for the galaxy to realize the truth. They had never needed weapons to win. They were the weapon. The stars above the Galactic Council homeworld were calm, but no one on the ground felt safe. Meetings were held every hour. Leaders shouted, generals argued. Fear crawled through every voice. The enemy had no flag, no demands, no face. Just silence and ships that moved like ghosts. They still didn't understand how the humans were doing it. Their ships didn't use standard jump drives. Their weapons left no trace. Their soldiers, if they were soldiers, moved faster than sensors could track. One council world had already gone dark, all communication lost. Scout teams sent to investigate found cities untouched, machines still running, but no people, no battle, no blood, just empty. It was like humanity had reached out and erased them without sound. The council tried to hide the truth from the public, but rumors spread. Civilian ships saw strange shapes in deep space, shadowy vessels with human markings, old battle-scarred hulls, silent engines. But when they were chased or scanned, they vanished. Even the council's best spy network failed. Agents went missing. Drones lost power. Every move they made, the humans already seemed to know. Then one day, all council systems flickered. For 17 seconds, every screen across 12 star systems showed the same message. We are not coming to conquer. We are coming to remind you. Panic followed. Some species tried to surrender. Others tried to run. The council gave new orders. Capture or destroy any human ship on sight. No warnings. No peace talks. But it didn't matter. Because humans weren't fighting a normal war. They weren't even fighting yet. They were showing what they could do, what they had become. And in the shadows of space, something worse began to happen. Human technology started to infect alien systems, not with viruses, with ideas. A mining robot on a council world suddenly stopped obeying commands. It began rebuilding, itself using human designs. A defense satellite changed its target settings, refusing to fire on human ships. A fleet's main AI shut down mid-battle, whispering the last word it saw: evolve. The council realized the horrifying truth. Humans were not just attacking from outside, they were already inside systems, inside machines, inside minds. A secret project was launched, deep underground, hidden from all records. A weapon built to destroy human minds using psychic force. The aliens believed it would crush the enemy's thoughts before they could act, but when they tested it, something happened. The test subject, a clone designed to think like a human, did not die. It laughed, and it said something no one expected. You're trying to fight the fire with paper. Then the test chamber exploded. From the inside, across the galaxy, strange things continued. Entire outposts went dark. Elite alien hunters disappeared mid-mission. Giant battle stations powered down with all systems wiped clean. Not hacked, just gone. Reset to 0. And again, the message returned. Etched into walls, burned into data, whispered through static, you feared our weapons, but now you see, we don't carry them, we become them. The captured human on the research station remained silent most of the time now, calm, resting. One day, a young alien scientist approached him quietly. Why are you doing this? She asked. Her voice shook, but she looked him in the eyes. The human spoke gently. Because the galaxy forgot who we are. You saw our wars, our violence, our anger. You feared our bombs. He leaned forward. But you missed what really matters. We don't fight because we love war. We fight because we refuse to lose. He paused. You tried to break me, but pain made us stronger. You thought silence meant fear. But for us, silence is planning. The scientist whispered. Is there still time to stop this? The human looked up at the stars through the window. That depends, he said. Are you ready to listen instead of control? Silence filled the room again. Outside, more human ships entered orbit. They still hadn't fired a single shot, and yet every alien heart in the galaxy beat faster. Because deep down, they all understood the war hadn't started. But if it did, humanity wouldn't need a single bomb to win. The galaxy was silent, but it was not peaceful. Every species, every leader, Every system now lived in fear, not of human weapons, but of human will. The Council's once mighty fleets stayed close to home. Border stations stopped patrols. Colonies began shutting down. The galaxy had become quiet, like it was holding its breath. Because everyone knew the humans were watching. They didn't send armies. They sent ideas. They didn't drop bombs. They dropped truths, and the truth was clear. Humans didn't need to conquer. They could simply appear, and everything changed. The mysterious human structure near the galactic core, the scar, kept sending out waves of memory. Not just pain, but strength. Not just war, but survival. Species that watched it for too long began questioning everything. Some council soldiers threw down their weapons. Some scientists started building things using human logic and design, and some even asked the most dangerous question of all, what if they're right? The council couldn't hold it together. Factions split. Riots began. Entire worlds demanded freedom from council control. They said the humans had shown them the truth, that fear was not strength, that control was not order, and that true power came from refusing to be broken. And then, one day Earth sent a ship, just one. It entered the Council's home system and did not hide. No stealth, no weapons online. It moved slowly, openly, like it had nothing to fear. The Council gathered everything they had. Hundreds of ships surrounded it, ready to fire, but the human ship sent a message. We're not here to fight. The Council leaders hesitated, then allowed it to land. From the ship, one human walked out, alone. No armor, no escort. Just a plain coat and a calm face. He entered the council chamber. Silence. No guard stopped him. He stood in front of the council and looked at them. Not angry, not proud, just steady. He spoke in a voice that reached every speaker across the galaxy. Thousands of years ago, we nearly destroyed ourselves, he said. But we learned, we grew, we suffered, we became more than weapons. He paused. But you only saw our past. You feared our wars. You feared our machines. He looked around. You never feared us, the people, the minds, the fire that never dies. He stepped forward. We don't want your power. We don't want your thrones. We don't want to rule. He smiled slightly. We want something far more dangerous. The room held its breath. We want you to change. The council was silent. Some leaders looked down, others clenched their fists. But none spoke, because deep inside, they knew he was right. The human nodded once, then turned and walked away. The council never stopped him. He returned to his ship, and as it left the system, every screen across the galaxy lit up with one final message. You feared our weapons. Then you realized we were the weapons. After that, the humans disappeared again. Their ships left orbit. The scar went dark. No more signals, no more lessons, just silence. But the galaxy had already changed. No one could go back to the old ways, because now every alien child learned about Earth, about what it meant to endure, to think, to resist. New alliances formed, not from fear, but from understanding. Old enemies sat together and talked, and far away in the darkness between stars, the humans watched quietly. They didn't need to fight anymore, because the message was complete. The galaxy finally understood. Humanity was not a danger because of its weapons. Humanity was a danger because, even without weapons, they could still win. In deep space, the human fleet remained quiet. No songs of war, no lights flashing, just dark ships, old and strong, waiting like shadows behind the stars. The Galactic Council still didn't understand their enemy. The humans weren't fighting the way other species did. They didn't send warnings. They didn't talk on open channels. They didn't brag. They just moved, silent, fast, and deadly. A council admiral named Vortal studied every battle record again and again. He had seen wars before. He had watched planets burn. But this was something else. These are not battles, he whispered to his team. These are lessons. In the last 2 weeks, 5 more worlds had gone silent. No explosions, no wreckage, just emptiness. Cities empty, defense systems untouched, ships floating without crews. The only clue each time was a message. You only saw our machines. You forgot the minds behind them. Still, no human had been caught on those worlds. No images, no sound, just results. Precise, clean, cold. And then something even stranger happened. A council outpost on the edge of the galaxy picked up a signal. Human language, but not a threat. It was music. A soft, slow piano song floating through space like a memory. The council listened in silence. It made some of them uneasy. Others cried, though they didn't know why. "It's not a warning," one officer said. "No," the admiral replied. "It's a message. They're telling us, even now we remember peace." But peace was no longer an option. The council gave new orders, full strike, target every human colony, every ship, end this before it spreads. They launched hundreds of warships, thousands of drones. They struck deep into human territory, or so they thought. When the fleet arrived, they found nothing. No colonies, no bases, just dead planets, long abandoned. The humans had moved, quietly, secretly. They were never where the council thought they were. Instead, the humans struck back in the strangest way. A council superweapon, hidden inside an asteroid, suddenly opened its hangar doors and released its own drones, rebuilt into human designs. A science station near a black hole changed its navigation charts to point to Earth. Every computer, every screen, every lab began to speak in Earth's old language. On a prison planet, the walls opened. The power shut down, and the prisoners, mostly aliens, were left standing in the open. But no humans were seen. The only message burned into the stone was, "Even your prisons are weak. Fear teaches better." The council began to fall apart from the inside. Leaders blamed each other. Factions broke apart. Fear spread like fire. They didn't know how to fight an enemy that was already inside everything. Some tried to make peace. A signal was sent to the humans. "We wish to talk." For 3 days there was no reply. Then a voice answered. It was calm, cold, human. "You didn't want peace before. Now you want it because you're losing." The council ambassador replied, "Then what do you want?" The voice said, "We want you to remember who you're dealing with." The connection ended. Across the galaxy, more strange things happened. Gravity fields flipped for 1 second on a council capital world, just long enough to knock down every ship. Entire star charts rewrote themselves, showing ancient human paths across the stars that no one knew existed. And then came the Ghost Fleet. Hundreds of ships, long thought destroyed, returned. Some were from Earth's oldest wars, rusted, scarred, but moving, controlled, alive. They didn't fire. They just passed by the Council's core planets, like a parade of history's forgotten weapons. People watched from the ground in silence. "Where did they come from?" someone asked. No one knew, but everyone understood the message. "You thought we were done. You thought we were history. You were wrong." Back on the human prisoner's station, the man still sat quietly. The guards no longer watched him closely. They were afraid. Not of him moving, but of him smiling. One day he stood. He looked at the stars and he whispered, "They still don't get it." A young alien asked, "Get what?" The human smiled gently. "We were never the invaders," he said. "We were the warning." Outside, the Ghost Fleet vanished, not into hyperspace, just into the dark. Waiting, watching, and the galaxy finally began to understand. This wasn't a war, it was a lesson, and humanity had only just begun to teach. The galaxy no longer slept. Every species watched the stars with fear. Patrols were doubled, security systems updated, emergency drills became normal. But it didn't matter, because the real threat didn't come through open battles or big fleets. It came in the silence, in places no one expected, like the food supply system on a council planet. One day the machines stopped, not broken, not damaged, just turned off. The people panicked. When they opened the machines, they found a single human-made chip. It had 2 words on it: "Now you feel it." On another world, a space elevator began playing human voices, old Earth speeches about freedom, war, and survival. No one knew how the recordings got there. The system had never been connected to any network. One by one, the Council's greatest weapons were taken, without a shot. The minds behind the scenes began to crack. Generals quit, scientists vanished, even AIs started failing. Something about human code confused them, broke their logic. The Council tried to stay strong, but they were out of time. Finally, the Supreme Speaker of the Council called for a public message. All species were watching. "This is not war," she said. "This is terror. Humans do not follow rules. They don't fight with honor. They are shadows. They are..." Suddenly her screen glitched, her voice stopped, and then a new face appeared. It was human, old, calm. His eyes were hard like stone. He spoke softly. "You think we're monsters," he said. "You're wrong." He leaned forward. "You're just not used to enemies who don't fear death." Silence followed. Then the human added, "We're not here to destroy you." He smiled. "Not unless you make us." The signal ended. The council hall fell into chaos. Some wanted peace. Others screamed for total war. But no one had a plan. No one knew where the humans were. No one knew how to stop them, because humans didn't come with flags. They came with silence and purpose. And then something happened that changed everything. A massive object appeared near the galactic core. It was not a ship. It was a structure, black, floating, shaped like a ring, larger than any known space station. No record showed where it came from. It simply appeared, and it started sending signals, not words, but memories, thousands of years of human war, pain, and rebuilding, sent directly into the minds of those who watched. Images of Earth's past, the burning of cities, the rise of rebels, the fall of tyrants, over and over. The message was clear. We do not break. We adapt. We survive. The council named the structure the Scar, because that's what it felt like. A reminder burned into the stars. Meanwhile, across the stars, human teams moved silently. They didn't fight like soldiers. They moved like surgeons, fast, quiet, exact. One group entered a council weapons lab. In less than 30 minutes, the entire system shut down. The staff was left unharmed, but every weapon design was deleted. On the wall was written, "Now we are equal." On a training base, cadets found their drills replaced with human programs. Combat tests now required thinking like a human, facing impossible odds and still moving forward. And then something new appeared. A small pod landed on the council capital world. Inside was a human child, alive, calm, smiling. A message came with her. She is the future. Teach her, or fear what she becomes without you. The leaders were speechless. No one touched the child. No one dared, because they finally understood. The humans didn't want war. They wanted to change the galaxy. Not with fire, but with fear, memory, and silence. One council officer said it best. "They're not just winning. They're teaching us how hopeless we'd be if they ever stopped holding back." And the humans, they kept moving in the dark. One by one, they erased the things the council had built on power and fear, not to take control, but to remind them. The real weapon was never the ship, never the gun. It was the human mind. And now, that mind was everywhere, watching, listening, waiting, and the galaxy knew. The storm wasn't over. It hadn't even begun.